Okay, so if we're going to go live, we're live. That's it. The button is pressed. Timer has started.
I am going to see if I can see a thing. Yep, you are live. Excellent. Oh, hang on just a moment.
Oh.
Trig.
Yes.
Say a long sentence.
A long sentence. Sorry, can't help myself. Every time that's someone asks something like that, I do it. Go on. What?
No, that's why I specifically said a long sentence, because that will be enough of a sample. That you are oddly quiet on the recording.
Oh, really?
Is it just him or is it all of us?
Yes.
Let's have a
Let's
look.
find out.
Why is that happening?
A long sentence.
Okay, is that any better? I've moved the microphone about half a centimeter.
Well, you are louder to us now, but in theory, if you're sounding right to us but not the stream, then it's something to do with the stream settings.
Yeah, no, it's because it's a headphone microphone, and the difference between you hearing me
Oh, an
breathing
inch. With
and
that, yeah.
and it being silent is inches. So yeah, I've just repositioned it slightly, and hopefully, yeah, that's hopefully that will improve things. Excuse me.
Well, I suspect that's been mostly fixed.
Yes.
Right then. Who wants to give us a recap of the previous events?
Also, is the screen working? Because it's not
we
working on my screening program.
We spent a... Oh, sorry.
Yeah, on my end, the stream is completely black.
Uh-huh. Well, that's not on. Let's do something about
Did you
that.
change your settings or something?
No.
I now have the stream playing, but muted.
Okay, well, it's hearing us, and considering the game itself is largely voice, it shouldn't be too much of a problem. I will work on getting this screen up and running. Okay.
Right, sir.
So the audio is working?
Yeah.
Alright, well, the summary of last session. We spent a very, very long time figuring out how to deal with an object, then we fought a wyvern.
Yeah, that's pretty much it, yeah. We did kill the
That was
wyvern.
the summary of the last... That was the summary of the last two sessions, to be fair.
Well, no, if you add, we fished with an explosive barrel and splattered fish all over the shore, and then
that sounds familiar.
that pretty much covers the last session and this session. Yes.
Yeah, fair. Plentiful dicking around with magic and explosions and dragons and other such things.
So if I remember right, we have a wyvern to harvest and some weird contraption goes deep into the mountain to figure out.
I mean, that's a very liberal interpretation, but sure.
Oh no.
Oh no?
Okay, that's interesting. Yep. No, it's fine. Everything's fine. Nothing to see here. Literally. For some reason.
Yeah. Okay, so. Regarding the wyvern harvest, I believe there has yet to be any checks for harvesting bits off of the wyvern.
Pretty much, yes.
Didn't I get like a natural 20 for that in the last session?
You
Or am I
did
missing
get
No.
something?
you got a 20 on nature for something. But yes.
Yes, you got a 20 on nature, which allowed you to recall a few important pieces of information. That being that it's female, it was probably pregnant, or at the very least bearing eggs, and It was likely calling out to a mate.
Ah, well, I guess we need to go find eggs.
Right. Yeah. What I
Wyvern omelette.
would like to see if we can recover is wyvern skin makes for nice armor, leather, etc., etc. As much as possible. Wings and so on might make for nice capes. We definitely want to see if we can get some eggs, teeth, and claws.
Horns.
Pardon?
Horns.
Horns.
Well, sorry, they're not horns. It's like venom spiky things, doesn't
Oh,
it?
yeah, yes. Oh, and its tail. You're right. Yeah, that nearly killed me. You're right. I've forgotten about that. Sure.
Yep.
Yes. I don't know about meat.
Bobby got
Can you-
thoroughly impaled.
Can you eat wyvern meat? Is there any
That
benefits
was
to
another
eating
piece of
wyvern meat?
information. That was another piece of information that was revealed by the Natural 20 nature check. They are indeed not only edible, but also quite tasty.
Oh, in that case.
I'm hearing valuable if we can get to a town.
Mm.
I mean, I'm assuming there's plenty there for us to try it and still sell the rest.
I mean, yeah, this is half of your party consists of halflings. So even if a halfling can typically eat a lot for a halfling, that's still a halfling-sized portion.
Half the party's made of halflings. Does it mean it's a party of quarterlings?
I'm pretty sure you've made that joke before.
I don't think I have, but I have now.
Anyway, who would like to roll for the checks on how successful your attempt at harvesting bits off of this creature are going to be?
What roles would you like us to do?
Performance.
You've already rolled a nature check in the form of Ezra's natural 20, which has given you a good idea as to what is present on the creature, what to aim for, where you should be looking at, things of that nature.
If
However,
needed, I'll bardically inspire
order
whoever
to-
rolls next.
That's a good call.
Would
What you
it
need to
be-
decide is who should be the one to be actually doing the cutting and slicing and chopping of bits.
Okay,
I think
is it going to be based on dex or strength?
Well,
Seems like Dix.
it does seem like a dexterity, a sleight of hand kind of thing, actually.
Yeah, I'm suggesting not
Not a
Cardgar.
sleight of hand thing.
Yeah,
Wait, what?
I'm suggesting not Cardgar because Cardgar can use his bardic inspiration for the double chance of the roll.
I have no bardic inspirations left from the battle.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Well, if the battle just ended, I still have the one you gave me.
That's true, and I think I gave
Did
Twig
we?
Your
you
party
yours, but
has-
Kiki, I think you've still got yours.
I thought we took a short rest, which means you should.
Hey, how
have-
did
Your party has had a short rest.
Yeah, how did
Yeah.
you run out? Because we only had like 3 turns in that fight. Rounds in that fight.
Because every turn I was using it. So when I use bardic
Oh
inspiration,
wait, hold on. What's your maximum?
3.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, so,
Yeah,
My maximum's 5.
and the way my character works is I should be using it every turn if I've got the dancing item out.
And we got them all back anyway from resting.
Oh, cool.
Yes. We have things like it's not Song of Rest, is it? But
It's bardic. It's not bardic versatility either.
There isn't a name for the special feature. Bardic Inspiration just comes back on a short rest, I believe.
yep.
No, there is a name for the feature.
Song of Rest.
Is it Song of Rest?
Song of Rest is the ability to enhance the rate at which people heal during a short rest.
Font of Inspiration
There
is
you go. Yeah. When you reach level 5, you regain all your expended bardic inspiration points after a short rest or a long rest.
Yeah.
There
Yeah,
you
prior
go.
to level 5, you only get it on long rests.
Yep. So
So I'm thinking it's probably going to be nature to harvest it.
Nature is a gathering, or is It is the production and recollection of information in regards to natural phenomena. Sleight of
Would it be
hand is the ability to perform actions without the notice of other people.
survival then? Because survival is what you'd use for like making campfires and harvesting meat and stuff, right?
Survival is something that would be covered under this. It is general survival skills, which encompass, as you say, making campfires, tying knots, figuring out how to track a creature, or in this particular case, doing field butchering.
Well, we know, yeah, field butchering. Yes, perfect. That's what we're doing. Who's got good survival? I've got 1.
3.
I've got 2.
2.
So it's me, I guess.
No, it's someone other than you because your bardic inspiration gives 2 rolls, and that's worth more than 1 point.
I will
I'll
also
suggest Coat
say
or Trig.
that the 2 skills that I would most recommend would be either athletics for being able to do large and powerful strikes with a cutting implement in order to get through the hide of the creature with clean strikes, or alternatively using survival in order to take a more learned and methodical approach to it.
Could
Without
Trig
much brute
and Coat do it together to get advantage?
One of them could roll with advantage. The other would be consuming their ability to try in order to give advantage.
Okay, so they get advantage and advantage inspiration too.
If it helps, I have a 5 in athletics.
Oh, that's better than 2.
Well, I have -2 in athletics, so it's not going to be me on athletics.
Well, no, I have a 1 in athletics. Personally, I just meant the 2 in survival that we both have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Kiki says something about my inspiration is more valuable than
Your inspiration
Anyway,
is
they're
extremely
all-
valuable because it's
It
2d8.
Well, isn't it just take the better one?
It's
Take the better
it's
of 2d8.
so yeah, it's
a slightly better D8.
yes.
Yeah.
It's a
It's
D8
a
with an
D8 with
average of like
advantage.
6.
Yeah, it's a d8 with an average of about 6, so it's going to be +8.
It's actually technically very marginal.
Yeah. I'll tell you what.
But on
I'll
multiple
give you
occasions,
advantage.
you've-
Coat, you do the rolling. It shouldn't take this long.
Cool.
Do dice thing.
Feel inspired.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll also add the okay,
Now roll
just
2d8
take the higher one,
and
7. So 18.
That's a total of 18.
Yeah, nice.
You see as Coat approaches the now fresh corpse and begins deftly using a large combat knife to begin cutting away at the various bits and pieces. Which part of the creature are you going to prioritize?
Well, we
Well,
noticed
for
eggs.
example-
Those sound useful, but I was kind of thinking stomach actually. Sorry, what?
I was saying, why don't you prioritize skinning it?
I mean, if that counts as a body part, then yeah, I guess.
Skin's definitely part of your body.
The skin is by far the biggest organ on the body. If you prioritize skinning it, you'll be there for a good long while.
We can take a
Are you
rest.
to get anywhere?
No,
Considering how
not
long we can
really.
spend on a puzzle, I don't see why we can't spend time skinning a wyvern.
Why don't you
Alrighty.
skinning it? Would I be able to do some further investigations of the plinth
I
and
found a
the
cat
weird
claw.
rock formations in the middle?
That's exactly what I was about to suggest.
Uh,
So, whilst Essig is settling in for a long process of skinning the large, contiguous pieces of hide from the Wyvern. What are the rest of the party doing? We know that Cardgar is investigating areas within this little ruined terrace.
I want to actually change that. Can I use mending on the ruined wording to find out what the statement in the north said?
Yes, you can.
That's what I'll do.
Okay. Mending is a 10 minutes process, but
Yep.
you can quite easily just repeatedly do this in order to repair more and more areas of the mural. And as you do so, you see as the relief begins to almost grow back in areas, being restored to the state that they were once at. You see that the stone itself almost well, it's almost like watching a fast forward piece of footage of a piece of coral growing out. And after about half an hour or so of repeated casts of mending, you've been able to restore basically most of the detail there. um, by this time, I believe the comprehend languages on Bobby should still be active. After all, what's the duration on it? 2 to 3 hours?
It's an hour, I think. But I can soon cast it again the moment it's needed. I don't think.
All right. Well, mark that spell slot off then if you want to use it, because that would have expired during the short rest.
That is my last one, but yes, I will. That's my last spell slot for that. But yes, there we go. I will cast it again once it is needed.
Okie dokie. Taking a look at the mural, your comprehend languages is able to reveal the true meaning behind the text on the bottom, which I will get to in just a moment. But first, there is the actual pictographic nature of it. You see what appears to be a set of 4 humanoid creatures. Their limbs and their hands and their heads are larger than what one would expect. They are it's not accurate in terms of the expected ratios and dimensions for a human, but they do look distinctly human-like otherwise. The correct number of limbs and such. And there appears to be it appears as though that there is two of these individuals holding up a large sphere, with another 2 of these individuals concealing the 2 behind them by nature of being positioned in front of them. Beneath them and between all of them, you see that there is some kind of almost rectangular structure, something that looks like it may be about the size of a particularly large cupboard or something to that effect. That is positioned between them. Besides that, the only other details are little specks within the stonework itself, which suggests that there may be a night sky overhead, although it's unclear as to whether or not that's just natural inclusions in the stone that this was carved into. That said, the actual text along the bottom reads, well, it's not an exact translation. It's deep. You have to bear in mind, comprehend languages, it lets you read the exact literal definition, so
Yes.
there's some lost context. it reads, the sphere in the structure draws power from the sky.
Huh.
Does that mean anything to anyone?
Some kind of moonstone, then.
Say that again?
Some kind
The
of
sphere?
moonstone, then?
No, not you.
I'll type it out for you.
Please.
Hang on, let me just apply capitals to that. I've put that into the D&D room. Just so that you are aware. The sphere in the structure draws power from the sky.
And the pictogram doesn't like show a sphere being hit by lightning, does it?
It doesn't. It seems to just show these four individuals possibly holding it up, possibly picking it up, carrying it. Perhaps they're even just reaching up to and touching it, and it's floating.
Can I channel a spell slot directly into the pillar?
The one in the center, the pedestal.
Yeah.
You can.
I would like to channel a 3rd level spell slot into the pillar.
As you do so, you feel that the pillar is responsive to the magic. You feel as the magic is drawn into the center of this pillar and is simply spirited away. There doesn't seem to be any reaction, but you know that if you were to channel this power into, say, just a standard stone, it would be like trying to this is like the difference between trying to push your hand through water and push your hand through pitch.
Huh.
Well, it seems to eat magic, guys. Whatever it wants seems to be much stronger than I can give it, though.
Maybe if we all
maybe-
give it something
I
together.
was going to say, maybe if we all combined something.
There's an off chance I'll be back, but I'm heading off. Talk to you guys later.
Alright, dude.
Right. Best of luck with whatever it is.
Yes.
I suppose we shall have to cover the results of his butchering of the wyvern without him.
Indeed. Well, I've got one level 3 spell slot left. I've got no level 1s, and I've got a 2 level 2.
Well, I just gave it a 3, and it was like putting a pipette of water into a flask. You know, barely touched it.
Maybe we wait till nighttime and see if something happens.
It didn't say it was specifically the moon. And read this again, because it feels like the sphere in the structure. Is there a sphere in the structure? I don't see a sphere in the structure. There's a pedestal.
I did put a glass ball on top of it.
Yeah, I know you put a glass ball on top of it, but if it's supposed to have a particular piece of it, if a car's supposed to have a key that you push in and turn, sticking a piece of chewing gum in the key slot isn't the same thing.
Yeah.
I would like
Clearly it's-
to do an investigation, if I can. I'm going to look.
Yeah, so let's have a look around, see if we can find this sphere, because
Yeah, I'm looking for the cupboard. Actually, I'm looking at the floor where the symbols indicate on the wall, and seeing whether or not there's a slot that opens up to lift a cupboard out of, whether it's like something that pops out of the floor.
Your 14 investigation doesn't reveal anything along those lines, but what it does reveal is a memory of something that the DM said to you in the previous session. It's clear from what remnants there are within this structure, within this terrace that you're in, that these pillars once held up a roof. That roof is now missing, but there doesn't appear to be sufficient rubble in the immediate vicinity.
right, yes, something's carried stuff off.
Possibly the wyvern. Do you think it made its
Yeah.
nest out of it?
I'm thinking that as well. Wyverns are a type of dragon. They're prone to maybe
Shiny.
hoarding shiny stuff. Can I sort of circle round the amphitheater that this sort of kind of represents, and just have an extended explore? Not going particularly out of sight, but whilst Coat's busy hacking up Wyvern and so on.
I will explain to you the surrounding environment around this terrace.
Okay.
It's occurred to me that I haven't actually done that yet. If we say that the top of this map, is oriented northwards, and you were to view it from a bird's eye view directly down, you approached from the southwest, following a path that was nestled somewhat inside of a series of steep, not quite cliffs, but very steep slopes. You travelled up along this path and arrived at this terrace. There was only one path that led to this terrace. However, this was not the only direction in which you could potentially approach. Leading across the entire left area from the path that you took to arrive at this location and circling around, there continues to be one of these very steep slopes that gradually becomes more and more steep until you get to the northern face of this terrace, which is built into the side of a mountain. It's suspected that, well, when I say it's suspected by yourselves that this terrace was somewhat carved out of the side of a mountain, therefore increasing the steepness of the slope into a sheer wall.
Right.
This then continues around until it levels off to the point where, pointing in a east-northeasterly direction, the slope stays remaining mostly flat for, I'd say, around 100 feet before beginning to curve off towards a lower altitude. Viewing in that direction, you are able to see out towards the ocean. However, it's clear that there are other peaks in that particular direction that you could take a look at. You have not yet had the opportunity to be able to look in that direction, but you do know that the dragon was flying that way when it was trying to escape you.
Now, I was about to say, given the we know which direction the dragon was flying in, Khadgar, are you able to send one of your weird eyeball things to check it out?
Does it look like there's somewhere within a mile in that direction. Worth checking.
There are other locations in that particular direction. It's mostly just like the other less prominent peaks within this small mountain range that you find yourselves in. But otherwise, it mostly just leads down to lower altitudes.
So nothing really stands out.
Looking over in that direction, which I presume you make your way over to that area, you look out and give me a perception check.
Perception. 16.
That is sufficient to see that there appears to be a there is one thing that catches your eye. When you first gave your dwarven stone, your inherently dwarven in touch stone based checking out of the area, your stone cunning check. You remembered thinking that the stone in this particular that makes up this terrace is not native to this environment. But looking out, you do see another example of this. There appears to be a large piece of something that looks to have the same sticking out like a sore thumb color and texture as the floor of this terrace that's located maybe 30, 40 feet lower down and about 300 feet away, and just simply sitting there, seemingly up against another naturally occurring steep slope.
So looks like we fell off and went down there.
It doesn't look like it's big enough to be the roof. Perhaps a piece of the roof. In fact, looking at it, it looks as though that maybe a corner of the roof arrived at that location.
Okay. Well, I'll let everyone know. And do we think it's worth checking out while Coat does his thing with the Wyvern?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's go check it out, guys.
Okay. It's a bit of a hike to get down there. You have to be careful with your footing, not to slip and fall. But if you do, it would ultimately just amount to a unexpectedly rapid approach of this particular next lower down plateau in this series of prominent peaks. But when you eventually all do arrive at this other piece of stone, you are able to confirm with an up close examination a couple of interesting aspects to it. First of all, Cardgar is able to confirm this has definitely got the same origin. It's the same kind of material. But it doesn't take him long to notice that there are cracks within this particular piece of stonework. Cracks that he has seen somewhat recently. That of shocked stone, the likes of which he has only seen a handful of occasions, like when people use the spell Shatter and the outer radius of which impacts a stone surface, or most notably, when your attempts to capture the slavers in Varpak resulted in a considerable amount of explosion going off and the floor of the city above caving in. There were these distinctive there was this distinctive pulverization and cracking of the material that was best indicated by a sudden shockwave having blown it apart. What you are looking at here as a result of the information that you're able to draw from is what you strongly suspect to be a piece of exceptionally large shrapnel.
We didn't use blasting jelly in the Wyvern fight, did we?
We did not use blasting jelly in the Wyvern fight.
I didn't think so, but okay. Is there any orb or sphere-shaped part of this shrapnel?
There does not appear to be, no. This chunk of what is evidently roof material, by the way, it appears to be a piece of the roof, a piece of what you likely suspect is the eastern edge of what was once the roof to this structure. And it is lying upside down with the remnants of where you can tell that would have been at some point one of the black pillars that you guys were taking cover from, taking cover with, I should say, where it would connect to.
Well, what do you reckon, guys? Do we go back up and have a mending montage and just repair the roof that way, or do we search for more shrapnel?
We've not found a sphere of any sort, have we yet?
No.
If it stands out that much from its surroundings, and it was a blast, it's likely to have blown out in all directions.
Yes.
Can we go back up top, and can you send a sensor eyeball, whatever it's called, directly up and look down and see where you can find wreckage points?
I mean, I already did that when we arrived. Do I remember seeing any wreckage points?
You remember seeing something that could be, but the simple fact that you weren't looking out for that means that you probably just overlooked it as random errant pieces of stone.
Okay, well, yeah, let's do it again.
Well, sending the clairvoyance up into the air and looking around, you are indeed able to confirm that seemingly originating from this point, you can see that there are varying sized pieces of this foreign stone material arranged in various locations around the various peaks of this small mountain range. Some of them have been blown away with such ballistic trajectory to have them settled in the plains surrounding this particular mountain. Whatever explosion caused these things to be sent off with such incredible force must have been, well, truly epic in scale.
Now, given that the amount of magic that I put in there was seemingly negligible, right? Does that would lead me to believe that whatever this orb was poured a huge amount of energy into this thing, and given the explosion seems to have happened from the central point, it may well be that the orb exploded.
Yeah, that was my thinking as well.
Can I do would it be an arcana or an investigation to work out just how much of a difference what I put in there made? How much more would be required? You put in, you throw a cup of water into a jug, then you're not going to fill it. But you've got a rough assessment that you need maybe, I don't know, 10 more cups, or maybe a number of hundreds, depending on what sizes you're using. You can make a rough estimate. Can I do a similar thing with arcane power?
Roll me an Arcana check. And since you've already dumped a sizable, I was about to say you have advantage. Yeah. When it drew away the power inherent within that spell slot, you could feel that the energy was being siphoned into something that could easily take hundreds of what you put in. if you had to give a proper estimate, you would say that this is probably somewhere in the realm of like a level like 200 spell slot rather than a level 3 spell slot. Bear in mind, spell slots tend to increase not linearly, but like
Sort of
a level
logarithmically.
2. Yeah. This is
So,
a staggering amount of magical potential that must be able to be drawn into this thing.
so what kind of devastation would a eruption of magical energy of that level cause? Would it equate to something like this, from what I can estimate?
An eruption of such force, if you had to estimate it being utilized in a way that it was properly shaped like a spell, that would be capable of wiping a country off of a continent.
But if it was unstable and just burst uncontrollably?
Burst uncontrollably?
Yeah, given that the orb, whatever it is, given that the orb
that'll-
was containing the power, you put a bomb in a box, you're going to get shrapnel more than shockwave, in a shorter radius,
yeah.
is what I'm thinking. Would that
This
line up?
You're suspecting that whatever this explosion was, that much raw magical potential simply being released uncontrolled, that would probably be sufficient to blow the top half of a mountain into smithereens. Certainly enough to be able to take a structure like this and render its roof into bits and pieces that were strewn for miles around you.
Well, that would explain the fire and smoke on the map.
Yes, it would.
I'm
Hmm.
concerned, guys, that this thing is powered by a device that is somewhat of a grenade that has already expired, and that we will be looking here for years for all of the pieces of shrapnel in order to piece them together and make a mundane grenade shell.
But
You make a
that
fair
wouldn't be
point.
coming from the sky, would it?
No, but it may be able to draw. I mean, these wizards, they have like weird arcane focuses that like pull power from the sky or from the sun or from, I don't know, nature or whatever. Or I guess that might be druids, I don't know.
Could be the sky, it could be the interaction between cosmic particles and the very air that we breathe at the edge of the sky.
Looking at the mural again, Cardgar, you make a potential connection. That box that this sphere is evidently connected to, the structure, the one that is on the mural only goes up to roughly the knees of the humanoid entities pictured within this mural. Which means that however tall this structure may be, assuming that the box within that is analogous to the terrace in which you find yourself stood, would indicate that the humanoid creatures must have been enormous, giants, literally, in the most literal sense of the word.
Nephilim?
Which also gives the impression that perhaps this is a sphere that is much larger than the one that you've conjured up with your magical abilities, given that clearly it took 4 of them to carry such a thing.
So, big ball.
Probably a rather large bull. Which, when you look around at the semicircular walls that are sloped down and of different heights, with the outer wall being taller than the inner, that lines up. You would estimate that whatever this sphere is probably only just fit within the inner square that makes up this terrace. That perhaps the pillars shown, maybe they didn't hold up a roof that covered the entire structure, and that it was more like an outer ring, perhaps?
If something that big exploded in such an incredibly sort of forceful way as to blow the roof off, and is capable, perhaps, of leveling mountains or removing continents, if focused properly, I'm surprised it left a floor and pedestals. I don't think this thing was at full charge. If it was, the mountain wouldn't be. It's only blown the roof off. This was faulty.
One of you give me a history check.
Second. A history check.
Would this history benefit from the stone ability?
No, but if you want to give me one of those anyway, it might, depending on your role, you might discover some more information.
Right. I will do that, and then Trick, you do your general history.
There we are. General history.
I think you have to add 3 to my roll if it's got stone bonus.
I'll give you bardic
Yes, that's
inspiration
fine.
as well.
Can I give you mine?
Oh,
Sure.
Sure, go for it. Roll your extra goodies.
29, 32.
Well,
No
that's very good.
problem.
I have 32.
Okay, so we'll go with the higher result first. So a 32 stone cunning check is able to provide even more information than what you previously have managed to uncover. It's clear that there has definitely been some level of detonation centered within this terrace. Looking at the black pillars, you're able to see, after just simply taking your axe to one of them, that they should not in fact be black, and that they should in fact be the same color of stonework as the rest of the area. Why the stonework underfoot is seemingly not black is unknown. That is until you realize that the stonework underfoot looks suspiciously similar in color to the moon.
What was that, Kiki, you said about moonstones?
And in regards to Trig, your 18 history check, you're able to get some information to ping into your head. Something about the giants being the caretakers of some ancient civilization that once existed across the world. Apparently, they were brought to their knees by some ancient war with dragons, but whilst you're able to recall that the dragons ended up retreating to their heartland over on the next continent over in Akavir, you don't recall whatever happened to the giants. In fact, you don't recall if anybody has ever found that out. What you
maybe.
do know now is that giants, whilst they do exist, they certainly don't exist with any form of civilization. They, at best, can be considered nomadic and tribal-like entities.
Well, maybe the those that were civilized were kind of here and deleted by it.
It's possible.
What do you guys think? Should we try blasting jelly?
Blow up the whole place.
Well, Ginger said that I discovered that there had been blasting jelly used on this.
Okay.
No, I never said that. I said that the black pillars were only black because evidently there is ancient scorch marks covering them over. But the actual floor itself appears to have not experienced that same level of scorching.
Oh,
Kiki, you muted, babes.
You can make those. You can create things out of any
yeah.
material, right?
I was about to say, do I know what moonstone is? Or maybe meteorite, star metal.
You have an idea as to stone that would exist in the moon. I mean, it's theorized that the moon is just a giant rock.
But this floor's material in particular, if it's impervious to explosions, firstly, can you replicate it? Can you produce that material? Because that could be effective for certain purposes. Secondly, can you make a sphere out of this?
Of
Anyone
the
need to
floor.
find out?
Yeah, out of the floor.
Yeah, well, let's answer both in one go. Sphere of floor.
Yeah. You use your magics to fabricate through magical means a sphere of what size?
To fit perfectly atop the plinth.
No, go big as you can make it.
Well, that's large. Then, well, I can go up to large size, but I'm limited by value as well.
Yeah, but I mean, it's rock. How much is it going to be worth?
I mean, diamond is rock. I don't know how
It's
much
only
stone is
valuable.
worth.
It's only valuable if someone has attributed a value to it.
Well, this is a worked floor, so someone would have put a value to it. So, Ginger, you know we don't.
Indeed, I do. Are you going to try and make the sphere as large as possible?
Should I go for a large size? So that's a 2x2 square, or should I keep it a medium?
Given this thing was apparently huge, such that the roof was a ring supporting it rather than an actual roof. As big as you can make it, maybe there's a weight component to this. It needs to be like under compression.
Well, if there isn't, we're about to crush the entire apparatus. All right. Well, I will do as Kiki asks. And shall I try and place it atop the plinth?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to assume, despite where our tokens are, everyone's going to move out the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We clearing
Um,
the body of the Wyvern and Coat, or are we letting him finish his thing before we blow the whole thing skywards?
It died outside of the temple, didn't it?
Coatrack's over where it died.
Right.
Didn't quite manage to make it to the point where it fell down the side of the hill yet. So as you conjure this sphere of stone using the same material as the ground, you find that you are able to do so. So clearly, whatever the floor is made of can't be too valuable. And you summon it above the plinth, about an inch above it, allowing it to land onto said central plinth upon the finishing of the creation process. And as it does so, it with a crunch, it falls onto the plinth, and nothing particular happens. The plinth appears to be undamaged, and the stone sphere also appears to be undamaged. What is noteworthy about the stone sphere, however, is that it appears to be almost entirely of a pure, almost milky white, but ever so slightly yellowed color to it. Completely different in texture and color to the material that you're stood upon. And after about 2 or 3 seconds, you see the plinth in the center. You hear a crunching noise, a crack of sorts, as it suddenly lowers into the ground by about an inch, if you had to guess.
Does it look like it's breaking, or just like as if the weight of it is pushing it down on a mechanism?
If it was breaking, it would have shattered rather than depressed into the floor.
Well, it
It
might crack
looks
before
like
it shatters.
the weight of this sphere has depressed the plinth into the floor, like pushing a piston into a piston cylinder.
Does it look like it's gone all the way it's supposed to, or has it got more journey?
It's not possible to figure that out without adding more weight, but for now, it looks like you've depressed it all you're going to be able to achieve with this stone sphere.
We got somewhere. We did a thing.
All right, Kiki, what should we do now?
Uh, can we put the rubble on it? Can you dancing item the rubble to make the rubble?
Can only dancing item one thing at a time.
Yeah, but can it dance onto the top of the
It can
pillar
fly.
and then stop dancing?
It can fly, but keep in mind this is a sphere.
But we just need to put weight on it, though, right?
I'm just. Have you ever seen those guys who like get lots of random stones and build like freeform, like balanced
Yeah.
sculptures? Is that what you want to do?
Well, I'm presuming there will be curved parts that you can fit over, or broken parts that will slot on top, sit on top even.
Let me just have a look a second. Animating. Here we go. Where's my glasses? Here you go.
You could use your animation on the stone sphere.
I could. I want to read how often I can do this.
Yeah, would the stone sphere be able to push itself down?
Okay. Once per long rest, or I can expend a third level or higher spell slot. So I can make one dancing item with the spell slots I have remaining.
Can you make the sphere the dancing item and make it push itself down? Like, you know how someone can push something further than their actual weight by actually like pressing against it.
I mean, it can fly, so do I think that will work? Was it using its flying movement to push down, Ginger?
You don't see any reason why not.
Okay.
These things do have the ability to impose themselves on another creature's space. So
I suppose let's do it. I will expend my last third level spell slot to animate the sphere.
okay. And you command it to push down, do you?
Yes. I command it to go down.
As you do, you notice that it, combined with its weight and its inherent magical oomph, is able to depress the pillar by another several inches, more than what it was able to do with just the natural weight of the sphere. And it seems to just keep going and going and going until it suddenly stops.
Did it stop because it made contact with the ground?
I'm guessing now I'll put a 3rd level spell slot in it and see if it reacts differently with the pillar depressed.
Go for it if that's what you want to do.
Yep. I'm burning the spell slot. I've got 1 left.
Okay. You apply the 3rd level spell slot, and once again, the plinth seems to absorb the magical potential. And there doesn't seem to be any particular difference between the first time you did it and now. Although, riding off of that natural 21 Arcana check you made earlier, you do feel as though whatever capacity that you fed into the last time is now infinitesimally more filled.
So it looks like it was totally depleted when we started. And we've added a little bit. Pushing down on it's definitely done something. In fact,
Has it though?
have it lift itself ever so slightly and see if the pillar follows it.
Yeah. Okay.
Roll me a perception check.
Who?
Of
All
everybody.
of it?
Everyone. Perception
I
check.
got an 8.
I will do terribly because even though I've got +4 in this, I normally only get about an 8. Oh, there we go. Reverse jinxed it.
Bobby, you suddenly hear a river?
A river.
You definitely hear running water. It's relatively quiet up here. So the fact that it's gone from being quiet to quiet plus river is what's standing out to you,
Anybody else hear that?
by the way.
That's a river. Or running water. Or someone we haven't seen taking a really big piss. But there's definitely a river or watery sound. Like water running over rocks kind of thing, I'm assuming?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Where's it coming from?
That's a good question. Is it coming from the plinth? Or is it coming from, behind me?
From where you are right now, it sounds like it's coming from roughly this direction.
Yeah, definitely water coming from over yonder, Bobby points to the left. West. That
Would be west.
orientation.
How long's clairvoyance last?
Clairvoyance would definitely still be active.
I think it's an hour, isn't it? Or 10 minutes? Let me double check.
It's it takes 10 minutes, but
10
the
minutes.
duration
It lasts for
is
10 as well.
only for 10 minutes. So it would be towards the end of its duration at this point.
What do my clairvoyant eyes see?
That dry riverbed that you guys ended up walking up in order to get here, where you veered off left to find the Sphinx and veered right in order to get to where you are now, it is no longer a dry riverbed. It's now an actual flowing stream.
We've turned the river back on.
Well, that's fun. So this is a button that turns the river on and off.
I didn't think you could turn rivers on and off by buttons. Mind you, do you remember that thing we did the other day? That little cave you found?
Yeah. And it was full of river.
It was. All kind of dammed up and stuff.
Do you reckon we cleared it? That must mean it's directly under this thing.
Yeah, and this is like a big plunger that's pushed a gate down or something.
Or unclogged
Did
it,
I-
like.
Did I notice if the river started flowing as a result of spells being dumped into it, into this thing, or from it being pushed down?
You're not sure. Honestly, it could have been either.
Well,
Well,
if we were
I'm
to
just
take a
happy that
long
we've
rest,
managed.
I could animate the plinth itself.
You could. I'm just pleased we've managed to do something with this thing. We turned a river on, guys. We've changed the landscape, look.
Wouldn't be the first time we've done that.
Eh.
Well, yeah, but this time it wasn't on purpose.
Are you telling me Bobby meant to blow up a road?
I mean, I meant to set traps. I was aware it could do damage. There was definitely intent there. Maybe not quite as much intent as was delivered, but yeah. I intended to blow up some orcs. I did blow up some orcs. I accidentally, removed half a city in the process, or a bit of a city. A smidgen. A
Hey,
city
these things happen. These things
You
happen.
caused us. You caused a surprise sinkhole. Then again, what sinkhole isn't a surprise?
Most sinkholes are fairly surprising when they're happening.
I particularly like the ones where people park their car, when they come back they can't find it.
Oh no, I don't. That's absolutely horrifying.
To be fair though, I've only ever seen videos of that in China.
That's when that happens when a dodgily lined sewer is ends up springing a leak and nobody checks on it, and then the water just kind of erodes around there until there's nothing left to erode.
It can happen in volcanic regions as well. Similar type of thing. The
Collapsing lava tunnels.
yeah, essentially. I think you get quite a few sinkholes in places like California.
Well, the old mining towns in America seem to be
Yes.
common for this.
So, before we get any more distracted about talking about surprise sinkholes, to reiterate as to what you've managed to do so far, you have discovered that the plinth is some kind of depressible, like, cylinder, pillar of sort. And you have depressed it. Whether
Yep,
it be
it's-
via the weight of the sphere or the dumping of magic into it,
It's now
you have
proper bummed out.
you have now managed to good joke. You have managed to successfully start up a river. How that makes sense, you haven't yet figured out, because last you checked, rivers don't have on buttons.
Well, they must do. I mean, this one does. Hey, didn't we come across a fountain that had an on button? And it had magical water stones in it.
We did, but that was in a whole other dimension.
Kiki, do your water stones still work?
I don't see why not. I mean, I've only got the one. It's in the cooler. I'll have a look. I'm guessing
that
it's
one-
still working good.
You reach into the water skin and you pull out a wet stone that just keeps dripping.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't a. I haven't got it in a water skin. It's in a jar with a tap on it. So we've got like a little gluggy water cooler.
Oh, I see. I see. Yeah. As you take the stone out of the jar, it just continues producing water.
Maybe there's just a bigger one of those under here. I'll tell you one thing though, if we are changing the landscape, that does kind of give me a fun idea.
Go on.
Well, it's all very well good creating a river in a mountain, but what if we write our band name on the mountain in big letters?
Are you
I'm going to be
suggesting?
back in just a minute.
you
I'll
s-
still be able to hear her.
So you're suggesting river writing instead of sky writing?
Something like that? Or, we have blasting jelly.
We don't have an unlimited. Well, we do have an unlimited supply of it, but it would take a while. And we're bards, not engineers or navies.
Well, look, if we make a mistake, what's really the damage done? It's a mountain out in the wilds. And look, Cargo points to the east. The boats will be able to see it.
I mean, I suppose. How long do you reckon this would take then? I reckon this would take a long time. Changing the direction of a river into a series of words, Earth, Wind, and Shire. That's like lots of. Well, it's 4 words.
Yes.
And how are we going to connect the words? I mean, like, I can understand connecting the letters, but
Oh, we could just underline it all. But this is a massive undertaking. I mean, I like the idea, but like I said, we've got gigs to play and stuff.
I guess.
We can't be spending the next half a year blasting the crap out of the side of a mountain just because, we fancy a bit of self-promotion.
Well, maybe we put on the maybe poll for later then.
We will. I mean, certainly. Certainly. I mean, we could make it big and we could hire someone.
I'm back.
But yeah, no, I don't really fancy. I mean, that's what Earth, Wind, and Shire. That's 4, 10, 20. No, not 20 words. 20 letters. 17 letters plus spaces. That's a lot. That's a lot of work to make a river do that. There's loopy bits and all sorts, and like dots over eyes.
Well, look, if there is waterstone, we just got to move it around a bit.
what if instead of writing Earth, Wind, and Shire, we make some kind of picture that represents those words?
You got something.
I'm proposing a logo.
Okay. Oh, I'm having an idea. Right? I remember hearing about this a long time ago. Someone had got like a stream of water on like a hose, the sort of thing you'd use to sort of take water from a tap and just sort of pump it into your garden or something. And what they'd done is they'd attached the end of the hose so that it wobbled at the same rate that when they were banging a drum or something, and it was making the water wobble into wavy patterns. What if we could make a song and attach it to a river and just have a constant sort of wobbling water display?
Can rivers play music?
No, but they can demonstrate it. Well, I suppose they can make a pissing sound, a loud, extremely big, giant pissing sound,
Oh, we could make it by moving the pillar up and down at the same rate instead of a drum skin up and down.
Right, that's what I was thinking. There's a thing going off there. There's an up and down motion. That's a wobble. But does it move very fast? It looked like it sort of moved slowly and needed pressure.
It could move fast if it was an animated item.
Ooh.
That would only work while we're here. What did we find in that water cave? Did we even explore it?
We didn't really explore it, no. There was some sort of dam holding back the flow of water.
No, you're misunderstanding. When the riverbed was dry, it was a long series of water-worn pebbles. It led up to a cave, which had a relatively small opening. Just about big enough to be able to fit a halfling inside. However, once past that opening, it then led to a roughly circular in shape pit of these continued rounded pebbles. These pebbles looked as though the water could flow through them, but they also looked as though it was just largely flat, with the rest of the top of the cave looking like the top of the interior of a sphere. Generally speaking, it didn't look as though there was anything clogging it. It just looked like whatever was the source of the water had dried up.
Ah.
So the water's probably coming out of that cave.
Again, now.
According to Ezra's clairvoyance, the water most definitely is coming out of that cave.
Right, so probably not a good idea to go and explore that cave now. It would require an awful lot of swimming against the current.
Yeah.
Without the excavation of the pebbles, you already have explored that cave.
Right.
Well, I'm kind of out of spells and animations and creations, so if you want me to animate the pillar itself, would have to take a long rest.
I was
I
thinking
mean, I'm
that,
kind of out of ideas here, to be honest. So if
yeah.
anyone else has got any thoughts.
Well, I am. I'm also. I mean, I burned almost all of my spell slots in that fight. Certainly everything big. So a rest is a good idea. I am somewhat concerned that, whilst we're asleep, a wyvern will come along and go, "Oi, you killed my mate. I'm going to eat you." So some way of defending against that, like a roof or camouflage, might be nice before we decide to kip.
What about rope trick?
Does that last for 8 hours?
I believe it does, doesn't it? That's full rest. Let me double
Rope
check.
trick
Oh no, it's
lasts
an
for
hour.
1 hour. I'd say it's around this time that your party, relatively at the similar time to one another, noticed that there appears to be a bit of a storm front rolling in from the ocean to the east.
Hmm.
Well, I can't fit everyone in the parlour. Well, I can, but it's not very comfortable.
Oh, is there enough of the roof left on this thing to give some shelter?
There really isn't.
So I suppose if we're going to hang around here, the only place we can go for shelter is where we found the Sphinx.
Yeah.
Maybe we do that and have a Wyvern queue.
Okay, well, if we're going to exfiltrate from the area and find shelter in a cave, we're going to need to basically end whatever filleting is being done by Coat. So
You've got a bag of holding, don't you, Trig?
I do.
So maybe if Ginger like lists out all the components Coat's got and you put them in the bag.
That's not a terrible idea.
How much time have we spent on our investigations, Ginger?
I would say by now, about an hour has passed.
Do you
During
reckon
this time,
Hmm.
Coat seems to have managed to separate the wings from the main body and has managed to cut along the point in the flesh along the creature's back, separating the more hardy scales that go along the entire top half of the creature from the softer, more supple scales that do all of the soft and vulnerable bits on its underside. As a result, the skin now is largely rolled back along the wyvern's back. It is without wings, but otherwise, it's very wet and it's very bloody.
Hmm.
In fact,
So
it's excessively bloody.
I'm going to shout over and go, let's get as much skin and scales as you can and grab some steaks. We're going to go and get some cover, mate. Take a bit of a rest.
Once he gets the skin, scales, claws, whatever out of the way, can I just go to town butchering it to get the meat?
I'd say so, yeah.
I mean, it
The
works for
skin has
bear.
been.
Claws and teeth are going to be
You
fairly
can-
easy. You know, it's a case of cutting the head off and cutting the feet off. You can do that with an axe.
True.
Hmm.
I happen to have one of those things. Also, the tail. We want the venom, don't we?
Yes.
Okay.
Bear in mind, the entire barbed tail structure is roughly the same size as a halfling. It could be fit into a bag of holding, but wouldn't be easy.
Well, we could probably break it into its subcomponents. It's a load of spines, isn't it?
It's a load of spines attached to a once living gland.
Well, I'm going to go butchering this thing. You guys can figure out how to store the bits and pieces. Anything you can't manage fit in the bag of holding, I suppose we can throw atop the sphere, and I can command the sphere to follow us down to the cave.
The other thing is how big is the bag of holding? Can we actually fit that tail through the maw of the bag?
Ginger just said you probably just can.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Can we get the head in, or are we going to have to cut the lower jaw off?
Judging by the
The
description,
head
the head
wouldn't be
is
able to
smaller
fit.
than the tail.
That's perspective.
Oh,
So let's try and get some teeth. How many teeth can I get? Can I?
With a bit of levering them out and using short swords and various other bladed implements to cut back the gums, I would say you're able to pull out basically as many teeth as you like, really. Do you just want to take every single one?
I certainly want all the big spiky ones. I don't know if a wyvern has like flat molars and stuff, but
No, they're all spiky.
Or
Some of them are
spiky.
bigger than others.
I was gonna grab as many as I can, really, and
All right. Let's say you're able to pull out 6 large spiky teeth. There are 8, but you're in a bit of a hurry, and a couple of them break.
oh, we cut off its feet. Can we get the feet off it?
Can I get sufficient scales to make a jacket?
Well, that's what Coat's doing. Is
Coat
he's
got all the
skinning
scales.
and scaling, so he's got the
Oh,
back.
fantastic.
So yeah. Okay.
So I guess should I what athletics for butchering?
Yeah, just roll me an athletics check.
15, 21 if someone wants to help.
Yeah, I'll help.
Can't really help with this.
Really? I can offer moral
mean,
support with bardic inspiration.
You can get bardic inspiration, but you can't really assist with somebody swinging an axe.
Have some bardic inspiration then.
19.
That is sufficient.
Nice.
You're able to take off its feet at a little bit above where the dew claw is. And as a result, you are able to get these relatively large, digited, clawed appendages, and they're rather large. Each one's about the torso. Each one's about a halfling torso.
I'll hand them each sequentially to Trig to store in his bag.
Bunging them in the bag.
Mm.
I'm just making this a text document for my bag of holding.
Oh, do we maybe wrap this stuff in some sort of cloth or something so it just doesn't leak blood into the bag of holding?
I mean, it doesn't really matter. It just sort of drifts. The blood will. That's fine.
Okay.
Because they'll sort of desiccate. The blood will just be in a pool at the bottom of the bag of holding. I don't really care about that. I'm not going to go in there and reach in and grab for the blood. So it can sit there, as far as I'm concerned. It will just dry up and be a crispy lump of wyvern blood.
Sure. And
I guess
then
don't put your sandwiches in there as well.
Oh, wrap them in tinfoil.
but they'll be
first.
floating around, as he says.
It's just it's weird space. Bag of holding.
You know what? Wyvern blood might even be like a delicacy as a spice or something.
Yeah, might be tasty.
I have a suggestion for you regarding your note taking here.
Go on.
There is a notes handout.
There is.
Didn't you create a thing for the bag of holding?
I haven't. I don't think.
I thought Ginger made one.
Currently, there isn't a handout for a bag of holding. Closest thing you've got to that is just simply making a section in the notes area. I could make a dedicated one for a bag of holding if you wanted to.
Yeah, you could do it.
Up to you,
It doesn't
isn't
really.
it?
Doesn't really matter either way. It is just a notepad. You create a thing that I can copy and paste this into. That's fine.
Who is going to be the manager of the bag of holding?
My bag.
Or should I just set that to everybody?
Yeah, let everybody have access to it.
Okie dokie. There is now a bag of holding handout that anybody can edit.
Cool.
Question is, where is it? No, it's all the way up there.
It's
Let's
at the
see.
top, next to Schenker.
That's right. Can I drag this? Yes, I can. But to no effect, it seems. That's odd. Why wasn't I able to put that in a specific location?
They're generally ordered alphabetically, and the dragging just allows you to place it into subfolders.
I mean, it's interesting you say alphabetically when I look at this list.
Oh well, I guess the bag of holding is all the way at the top of the list now. Congratulations.
Oh,
Easy to find.
Great.
right. Do I need to do another strength roll for butchering the different meats, or can we use the 19?
No, I'm just gonna say that you can cut yourself some steaks, even if you fuck it up a few times. There's no shortage of meat right here.
All right. How many? Because Trig's going to store those as well, I think.
How many do you want?
Yes.
Yes.
You want to take Okay, you want to take all the meat, just to be clear.
As much as reasonable. Like if it starts to get too dark to see what we're doing, then
Well, it will most certainly start raining by the time you've gotten to that point, considering the bad weather was rolling in when you started chopping off feet and pulling teeth and things like that.
shall we
So,
say then give ourselves 20 minutes as a guesstimate to get to the cave?
you suspect that you'd be pushing it at that point, but if that's what you want to do, go for it. During that time, you are able to cut an ideal leg steak off of each of the legs, and you're also able to cut a significant chunk of meat out of the breast muscles that actuate the wings on this creature. All in
Yeah.
all, I would say add to your bag of holding. Let's see. 20 pounds of prime wyvern steak.
20 pounds of prime wyvern
Yeah.
steak. Fantastic. Awesome. Sorry, I was muted there for a second. Kiki was assaulting me with food.
Apparently so is Codgar.
Just threw spaghetti bolognese all over my foot.
God. Why are you so clumsy, Kiki?
I
Ginger.
bet it's not as good as spaghetti bolognese as I made.
I don't know. I'm pretty good at this game.
Yeah,
Yours was pretty good, though. I'll give you that.
I've been told that
Thank
I
you.
do an okay spag bowl.
Our recipes are fairly similar. I just tend to use. I just throw in a bag of fresh basil in it as well.
Do you include mushroom
What?
and mint?
Mint? No.
I didn't think it would work, but I tried it one time and it was like that adds an interesting flavour.
Yes, mint. um, depends if you're using lamb. I guess that might work.
It was beef, but
Okay.
I didn't know if it would. I was just like, I have this. My mint plant kind of dried out when I was super ill over Christmas. So I was like, I have a lot of dried mint leaves.
Anyway,
Okay.
you managed to cut the
Since
steaks.
Ginger, you've recently taught me something I didn't know, which is bacon exists on other animals.
Indeed, it does.
Can we get some wyvern bacon?
You can give it your best shot.
Okay. What role is my
This-
best shot?
This would definitely be a nature check to see if you can figure out what would be the most appropriate location on the wyvern to cut from.
Right. This is a role to get bacon, guys. Let me know if anyone wants to help.
Oh, I'll and I think I'm pretty much almost out of inspirations at this point. Let me see.
By this point, by the way, the rain has started. It's also gotten a bit gloomy.
Yeah, have a bardic inspiration on that roll. I've
Alright.
got one left.
16.
A 16 is sufficient to be able to take a broad guess that bacon is typically belly meat on a pig. Try the belly.
All right. How much
And-
wyvern bacon can we get?
Cutting into the belly of the wyvern, you notice that there doesn't appear to be much in the way of fat here, or really muscle. In fact, it mostly just seems to be tough hide, or somewhat tough hide, which then immediately leads to the internal organs. You are learning that evidently that's the ideal spot for landing devastating blows on a wyvern.
All right. Well, since that didn't work, while I'm there, I'm just going to grab the liver instead.
Sure. I'd say a 16 is just about sufficient to be able to figure out where what of these internal organs is the liver. And fucking hell, it's huge. It looks like it's about as big as yourself, Kargar.
All right. Well, I help Bobby shove it into the bag of holding.
So what you're saying is it will
You-
probably outdrink most creatures.
Probably. What I will say is you can't take the entire liver. You can
What if I quarter it?
you could take it. You could definitely take a quarter of it. And if you want to be here once the rain really starts going, you can take the whole thing by chopping it up into bits and shoving it in the bag. Speaking of, that's at the point where the rain really starts coming down.
I think we'll stick with the quarter and then make a move. What do you guys think?
Sounds like fun.
Well, Piper will have retreated into the parlour. I'll have left the door open, but once the rain started, oh, that's a point, Ginge. In the parlour, do I leave by opening the door, or do I need to use the key again?
When you open the door, that does cause the parlor to open from the inside. You don't need to use the key.
So I can go in. I can go into the parlour and leave Bobby with the key to give me a shout when we're in the dry.
Could do.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm doing that. You up for that, Bobby?
Oh,
Great. I'll see you where it's dry. I'll keep the dogs dry.
good idea. They smell when they get wet.
All right, so you shove both of the dogs into the parlor, and then presumably nestle in between them and be exceptionally cozy.
Piper's having fluffy doggo time.
Fluffy doggo time versus wet dragon time.
I will throw in a chunk of wyvern steak for you to share with the dogs.
Awesome.
Just
Yeah.
raw. Oh dear. Bear in mind, this isn't drained meat.
Oh, it still needs to hang a bit, I guess.
Yeah. This is meat that is still dripping with actual literal blood.
The
They're-
dogs will love it.
They're mastiffs. This is going to be amazing for them.
And
It's-
besides, the parlour's
amazing.
already red, so no one's going to notice the difference.
Amazing for the mastiffs. Terrible for the parlor.
Look at the parlour. It's already red. No one's going to notice the difference. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Totally.
if Kiki really wants to, she could put a bowl out for them or something.
It's not too bad, to be honest. We have the powers of prestidigitation between us.
Do we, though?
I think
Because
so.
I think that Motch is the one who had that.
Was much that had that.
Yep.
If we don't, we have the powers of a wet cloth. A bit of soap.
Or just find a novice wizard to prestidigitate it later.
Yeah. There we go. So we've got 19 pounds of wyvern steaks because I've just thrown a pound of
Yeah.
a pound of meat in there and 2 chunks for the doggos.
Oh yeah. Add 1/4 wyvern liver.
I have done. There you
Right.
go.
We
Alrighty.
should probably vamoose to safety then.
Yes.
Okay. It doesn't take you terribly long to get to the vamoosing point. However, before you get there, you notice that there's now a river in the way.
We put this river here. That wasn't there when I got here. When we were. Oh.
It's raining.
Oh, we put that river here.
Yeah.
Bugger.
How deep is it?
Well, it appears to not be very deep, but it is most certainly flowing at quite the rate.
Is it deep enough to give a bear trouble walking? Or a horse?
I will say that you don't need to roll to know that given the fact that this is a loose pebble bed river with what is now evidently rather fast water flowing over it, as of right now, this river, should you attempt to ford it, will almost certainly send you down it.
Okay, why don't we just walk along the bank?
Walk along the bank to get to the other side?
Yeah, no, that doesn't work.
Let me just
Hang on.
reiterate something to you.
We're either going
When
down
you
or we're
went-
going up and round it.
When
Yeah,
you
Can you not
went
song of-
back up to the source and around.
Mm-hmm.
Can you not Song of
The
Creation a
sword-
bridge?
this, let me just describe to you the circumstances that you're looking at here. This river consists of a pebble-bed path that led up the side of the mountain that was dry when you came up here, and about 7/8 of the way up, you encountered a path to the left that led around towards where the Sphinx was. About 7.5/8 of the way up, you managed to encounter a separate path that led up to the right, that led you towards the terrace. 8/8 of the way up, there is the small cave that is now evidently gushing with water.
Let's go up to the cave
Okay,
where the
hang on,
water's
I've
coming
got an
out
idea.
of.
I've got an idea.
Go
There
on.
isn't really a bank here, by the way. This is a mountain river.
All right. I still have a giant floating sphere of rock that obeys my commands.
Yes, you
Right.
do.
Why don't we all just hop on top of it and let it float us to where we want to go?
It's a sphere, right? Does it roll?
It flies. So I assume when it's flying, it doesn't roll.
That's an assumption
Well,
to make.
Currently,
You
the
don't.
sphere is being used to depress a very, very large button.
No, Kiki had me raise it up, remember?
I don't remember that.
She asked for it to be raised a few inches above to see if it would spring the plinth back up, and it didn't.
I don't remember that happening.
Kiki?
And the plinth, in fact, did undepress.
Ah,
I suppose, is it worth me asking then, did the water continue to flow after?
The water has continued flowing.
All right, well, Either way, does sphere spin or roll whilst it's flying?
No, it doesn't. Not unless you command it to.
Okay. So even if we can't fit all of us on it, it's a large object. I'm pretty sure you could sit or stand on it, and so could I, even if we have 2 separate journeys.
There.
Yeah, you could use it as a floating ferry if you wanted to. Though it most definitely would take at least 2 journeys. That would be a halfling and a medium-sized player traveling across.
Are you okay to hand wave Coates' character since he's not here?
If you want, you can just leave him in the terrace, just kind of standing there being wet. You're a bit
He,
mean.
he might get pneumonia. And that would just be awkward.
That's mean.
Also, I can guarantee you that the bear would probably not fare too well.
The thing is, if I use animal friendship, I'm hoping I can coax it on top of the sphere, and because I'm in control of the sphere, I can adjust it if the bear looks like he's going to fall off.
There is also a horse.
I can't do
And
anything
often
about the
forgotten
horse. I can't do anything about the horse.
Okay, let's put a pin in the sphere for a second. And get back to because that's
It'll pop it.
That's certainly an
rock,
option.
it'll be fine.
Certainly an option. There is a cave with a hole in it the size of a halfling where all this water is coming out of.
Oh, I can block it.
There we go.
At least temporarily.
Or at least make a bridge over the top of it in some way.
Okay, what do you have in mind for bridge?
Well, we've got some rope, haven't we? We could fashion the rope around your orb so that it's got a rope hanging down from the bottom of it, and then we could just wobble the orb from one side of the cave to the other while someone hangs off the rope.
Sure.
Sort of like a big comic balloon. You hold onto the rope, it ferries you to the other side over the gushing water. You drop off, it pops back, it picks up the next. Even your bear could manage that.
So a blimp made of rock.
Yeah.
It's almost a shame I didn't make it out of lead. It could fly like a Led Zeppelin.
Indeed.
Ginger, do you have any problems with Trig's idea?
You would have to make a check to successfully secure the rope to the rock. But besides that, it sounds viable to me.
Sleight of hand?
Sleight of hand is... I've explained this a few times now. Sleight of hand is the skill check used to perform an in the presence of other people without them knowing.
In my defense, in 5th edition, they removed the skill use rope.
That's because it was rolled into survival.
Okay, can I see if I can secure this rope to the sphere without anyone noticing?
I'll close my eyes to give them advantage.
You know what? I will allow it once. Only because you made me laugh.
I'll also come on my bed and not watch either.
Okay, I got rolled a 22.
Somehow,
You just pick the pocket of the sphere.
Basically.
What happens is Bobby taps on the sphere, gets its attention, and points over at the sky and says, "Look, a distraction." When the sphere looks away, he manages to get a rope around the entirety of the sphere without it noticing.
I command the sphere to be oblivious.
Once all of you look back towards the sphere again, it looks as though somebody has tied shibari knots around it. Because let's be honest, that's the most likely form of knot making that Bobby used to know.
God. They're twins all over again, isn't it?
Only this time with a giant stone ball. Whatever floats your boat, I guess.
I mean, you've gone from whale ball to stone ball. I'm sensing a theme. You're going to turn this into an item clothing as well when you're done.
What, a giant stone bollock that floats? No. I don't know what I would do with that. Maybe a hat. I don't see it working though.
Yeah, it might make you look a bit big-headed.
I don't think even I can pull that off. Shoes?
Shoes made out of a giant stone bollock that floats.
Shoes of flying?
For now.
Stone shoes of flying, yeah.
You can't walk in them, they weigh tons.
I cannot stress enough how temporary this stone's flying ability is.
I think it lasts for my proficiency bonus, so 3 hours.
Well, there you go. It is indeed temporary.
Well,
Given it's an animate rock, would it be a matter of whether or not turning it into shoes kills it?
Yes. The act of turning it into shoes would indeed kill it, as would, I think, every single life form on Earth.
No, hang on, not necessarily. I think it's got like 60 hit points. As long as he's very precise with his strikes, I'm sure it'll survive.
Any part of the rock that is cloven off of it dies. I say that like the rock itself is living. Christ. Okay. You manage to ride the ropey bollock across the river. And unfortunately, my earphones have just run out of battery.
There you go, Trig. If you're still using Suno, that's the name of your next song.
My next song, well, I've just written one about the Wyvern. And we have two titles: Wings of Fire, Heart of Song, or Symphony of Flame and Fury. I've not quite made up my mind which.
I like Symphony.
I also like Symphony.
Yeah, but it didn't breathe fire. It just screamed a bit.
It did.
Oh god, yes, it did.
It fire all over you.
Nearly killed your doggo.
It fireballed twice, in fact. It fireballed twice. It impaled Bobby once, and it tried to impale. It tried to impale Cardgar too, but failed.
Yeah, because it was on the ground because my dog had yeeted it.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm still nominating Tank for MVP on that fight. I mean, we all did our bit, but Tank really fucking knocked it out of the sky and onto the ground and floored it for a second.
And then onto his back.
Yeah. After being made afraid, becoming unafraid of it, and coming back, roaring into the battle.
Just so that you know, during the duration of that fight, had Tank not literally thrown it to the ground, it was going to land, bite one of you, sting the other, and then fireball all in one turn.
Yep. Wyverns are dangerous.
Yep.
Tank. That's why.
There's a reason. There's a reason why the most powerful military force currently known to exist on the continent belongs to Stradivania, and they are Wyvern riders.
Yeah, Wyverns are bastards.
Anyway, are you going to be making a song that is the voyage of the ropey bollock?
I hadn't thought about it. I might do. It seems odd. I might just do a ditty or may even perhaps a poem. In fact, I like the idea of a poem.
What ode to ropey bollocks?
Yep. Yep. In fact, I'm going to
That's just terrible.
get onto that one right now.
Do we make it to cave without incident?
I would say yes. Using the floaty bollock as a means by which to be able to aid your navigation around the cave, even with the rock having become slick with rainwater, you are able to make it across without much issue. Doing so, you proceed to shelter in the cave for how long? A long rest?
I think
Yes,
a
I
long
think so.
rest and a Wyvern cube.
A good potential idea. There is a small plinth there that you could use as an elevated spot for a fire, or even as a stool, perhaps.
Ah.
In any case, you conclude your long rest without incident. Obviously, there isn't going to be much in the way of creatures bothering you up here. And I mean, imagine if a wyvern swept in and started attacking you out of the blue. That'd be awfully rude. But by the time you end up completing your long rest, you turn around, you look out the cave, and it's still raining.
I assume we let Kiki out of the parlor by now.
Presumably.
Kiki, can you use that spell you have to look for magic effects? Like maybe this is magic rain.
If Kiki is speaking, she is muted.
I don't have a spell to detect magical effects.
I'm sure you did.
No, I took plant growth.
Yeah. Did someone take identify then?
Oh yeah, I've got identify.
You need to touch the thing that you're identifying.
Can you touch the rain, Kiki?
It's water. It's wet. That's
If you go through the process of taking 10 minutes to cast Identify via ritual, presumably during the time at which a small barbecue is being made inside of a cave, you are able to discover that the water is indeed wet, and non-magical no less.
And this appears to be water, guys. I don't know what to say.
I just wondered if maybe whatever we did on the top of the mountain caused the storm.
Possibly.
Like, do we want to keep trying to wait out the storm, or do we want to try and... What the hell was that?
Sorry.
That was a Kiki sneeze.
Why do you sneeze like that?
I would like to know the answer to that one too.
But yeah, guys, what do you reckon? Do we wait out the storm, or do we just try and continue on?
I think we need to wait the storm out as much as we can. We either go back the way we came, or we push on up the mountain. Either way, we're stuck on the side of a mountain in torrential rain.
Next to a raging river.
Next to a raging river. That's asking for, serious problems to arise.
There is
Rock
one
slides,
additional point.
etc.
Both the giant floating bollock The giant floating bollock is now no longer floating and no longer existing. It would have poofed at some point over the course of the long rest.
Yes.
I will also say that at some point one of you would have ventured out in order to check on the state of the river, and it's increased in intensity somewhat. Definitely somewhat.
Just somewhat.
Just somewhat. It's not yet at the point where you would be suspecting it's going to be reforming the mountainside, but you're now very confident that any chance that you had of fording it are now definitely definitely not. That would be a swift trip down the mountainside and likely to your death if you were to attempt to wade through that.
Well, I mean, I can summon like some sort of large platform of cheap material that unfolds and then animate it to take everything down. If we want to, do that.
You're suggesting creating a boat.
I guess. And then using the animate ability so it can hover us down to safety.
Well,
You could certainly give it a
What-
go.
while you work this out, I'm going to sit just inside the parlor, and I'm going to cast Skyrag as often as needed to keep the words "help" written up there and point to our location.
Hmm. Kiki,
Yeah?
as you cast Skyride, you manage to form the words in as expected, but they only last for maybe 10 seconds before a violent squall in the sky wipes them clear.
Well, that's not going to work then.
Roll me an Arcana check.
Sure. Arcana.
You've used this spell enough now to know that it doesn't like wind, and storms tend to have a lot of wind in them. And in fact, looking out and feeling the wind, you can tell, it's
Yeah, I
probably not
got
all that
that.
surprising.
But given it doesn't consume a spell slot because it's a ritual, it was worth a go.
It was definitely worth a shot. So, to reiterate, you guys are now functionally trapped behind a river in a storm of unknown duration.
At least we've got plenty of food.
We do have plenty of food, and
Absolutely have plenty of food.
it has given Bobby time to scribble a note or two together, and he has written a little ditty, a poem, if you will, for the to sum up what has just happened, which I have placed in D&D room.
Shall I read this out?
By all means,
Or would
please
you like
do.
to?
You know what? Bobby's done it. I think Bobby should perform it. So, Upon the mountainside we stood, the storm rolled in, not looking good. The river raged, both fierce and wide, with rocks and rapids on every side. But Bobby, bold and bardly cheer, spotted a floating stone sphere near. "Aha!" he cried, "a plan so grand, we'll cross this river hand in hand." He tied a rope with bardic flair, and the sphere swung gently through the air. One by one we gripped the line and floated over just fine. Piper, wise with magic knack, summoned a parlour, cosy and packed. With mastiffs safe in her arcane retreat, she stayed dry, while we all got beat. So here's the tale of bardic wit, a storm, a sphere, and a perfect fit. Through cunning plans and rope-bound glee, we crossed that river wild and free.
These AI are starting to get better at that rendering the poems, aren't they?
Yeah. Chat GPT is
It's cringe.
it's a poem. All poems, just about all poems, are cringe.
I know, that's my point. By the way, Trick.
Yeah, it's a good
Rope-bound
poem.
glee. Really?
Sorry, what?
Rope-bound
Look, he had-
glee.
He had to make a reference to the shibari knots in there somewhere. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I could sense the head swinging of secondhand shame in you there, as that was glorious.
I mean, you've also got to keep the rhyme going, and that worked.
It did.
Yeah, honestly, Chat GPT is getting very good. I've had many decent conversations, ranging on many different subjects with both GPT and Grok. Grok's good for comic stuff. GPT, however, is capable of dealing with quite a lot of different elements of conversation. I proposed. Are you familiar with the Deus Ex games?
I'm not familiar with them personally, but I know of them.
Deus Ex, the original game, which is a 20-year-old game now, is spectacularly prescient. And I won't go through the whole story now, but it basically starts off with a massive worldwide plague that's been bioengineered to basically create the need for a vaccine that then can be rolled out by a specific company to whomever it really actually wants to get the vaccine, so to speak, so to create control. Behind the cover of this, there is all sorts of other things going off, and at one point, your main protagonist ends up talking to an AI, and the conversation it has with the AI is quite interesting because the AI basically claims that an AI system linked to mass surveillance systems, traffic cameras, CCTVs, etc., replaces the need for God in humanity, and that it can observe and judge humanity at all times, which is the primary focus for God, as far as it's concerned. And I was having a chat with ChatGPT about this exact conundrum, that whether or not it thought AI could become a you will have your God, and you will create it by your own hands sooner than you think. But is the line that it uses, which I asked ChatGPT. We ended up coming to the conclusion, and I say we because it suggested various things, and we found a route through the quagmire of conundrums that this took us down into the best route is the best route is human 2.0, and to amalgamate the AIs into the humans. That way the AIs can't wipe out the humans because they become one thing. Synthesis of human and metal and machine and meat.
Christ.
Yeah. Chat GPT is capable of some interesting thinking if you ask it the right questions.
If you manage to bypass all of the inshtifications that they built into it.
And actually not hard to bypass. You just have to you have to convince the AI that you're talking philosophically and need it to be capable of entertaining all manner of ideas in the process. And yeah, it will go. It'll run with it. Now the Chinese reckon that they've got one that's better. I haven't played around with that one yet, but apparently it didn't have the server capability of wide upload recently. They released it and then had to go, no, only Chinese people can use this. Too many Westerners. The servers have exploded. But
What
apparently
were they
that's. I mean, it's things with AIs. It's always they always step on the shoulders of the last one, and each one is bigger and stepping on the shoulders of the previous one, and they are. It's getting very good very quickly. It's quite frightening. I have plans on that front. There is
to get back to the point of the
indeed.
Of the game. You guys have said that you're going to be waiting out the storm.
As much as possible. I'm assuming it's not going to rain forever.
Well, it seems to be.
Oh.
You give it another 4 or 5 hours, and the only thing that changes is that there now appears to be the occasional thunderstrike.
You know what? Bloody hell, I've heard of rains like this before. Raining for days and days and days. And an entire world being flooded out and so on. But I thought,
I don't know, it blew in fairly quickly, which means it must be moving fairly quickly. My skyrite disappeared very quickly, so the wind's blowing it quite fast. I reckon give it a few days, it'll be gone.
A few days? What are we going to do in here for a few days?
I don't know, take it easy.
I mean, there is that.
What's the acoustics like in here?
Yeah.
Virtually non-existent.
We're in a damp cave with some bear meat, some fish, and some wyvern meat. 2 hungry doggos, and
we've got.
This might be an appropriate place to start to start practicing your Russian hard bass.
Yeah.
But that's about it, really.
It's not exactly what I would say, what I would call comfy either. Like there's
The cave itself, by the way, it's just about capable of comfortably sitting all 4 of you. That's, of course, that is, of course, without stating the existence of the horse and the bear, which presumably are still on the other side of the river, since good luck convincing a horse and a bear to cling to a ropey rock.
Animal friendship, I did say.
Okay, so the bear is across, which means the cave is thoroughly cramped.
with a very hungry fat bear.
Well, he can't be that hungry. We fed him wyvern meat.
Can we just sort of wedge him in the doorway to make sure it's it stays
What, like
warm.
a draft excluder?
Stays
The
warm.
doorway to the parlour.
No, the doorway to the cave. We just have him stand in the doorway as like a giant, fluffy draft excluding bear.
Not only can you do this, the bear doesn't seem to be particularly bothered by the idea.
Right, at least it's warmer in here now. Just smells of damp bear.
Definitely smells of damp bear. Occasionally, the wind manages to blow in just the right way to get past it, and it just renews the smell, and it's awful.
All we need now is some vodka, and it will remind me of Mother Russia.
I mean, I could summon up some vodka.
Cold
first
and
of
wet bear smell. Yeah, vodka and that is Russia. That is
like
very
one country.
yeah.
Well, okay. If we're worried that this is going to go on for days, should we just like take a peek out the cave and like survey the terrain and see what our options are?
You certainly can. And doing so gives you a view of the westernmost reach of the mountain. You're not able to see out to the ocean from this perspective, as that's in the other direction. Looking out down, you are able to see a series of ever less and less prominent peaks leading down to the wider plains that exist out in the surrounding environment. You spot a few errant rocks here and there, that being the evident bits of debris knocked out from whatever explosion annihilated the terrace around the corner from where you are right now. In terms of potential options, this side of the mountain is particularly steep and inhospitable. The very fact that you were able to come up here was only due to the fact that you happened to spot a river that just so happened to make for a pseudo easy path to make your way up with. Were it not for that river, you would suspect that your only effective way of going up or down here would be the power of flight. Speaking of, that river is now thoroughly raging. You can no longer use it to traverse the mountainside.
Well, okay. Do I think I can conjure up something that, even if it has to be folded up, I can unfold it to carry everyone and fly everyone down to the ground level, or at least to a lower peak?
Can you make the boulder again?
It doesn't have to be a spherical boulder if it's going to be carrying things.
No. I'm thinking if you can make the boulder again, but make it inside that cave so that the water pressure bungs it up like a
Ooh.
stopper.
Ooh. Okay.
I'm a little bit concerned what happens when the water pressure builds up too much.
We aren't anywhere near it when that happens. Is my suggestion. Is this cave facing Varpak? We're not gonna fire
It's okay.
fire a 200-ton
I can
boulder at
dismiss
it.
I can dismiss it at will.
Okay, because
As a matter of fact, it is actually facing Farpak.
okay,
I
right.
think it will be
You know what?
funny.
I'm not
Yeah.
going to dismiss it at will because that would just be too funny.
You're just gonna fire a 200-ton boulder at almost supersonic speeds in the general direction of Varpak in a day or two's time. What's the pressure?
Well, it only lasts for 3
Fucking
hours.
hydraulic
So
cannon.
I mean, hold on. How many tons of water are going through that? How many inches of water is it? It's you said the hole is the same size as a halfling, right?
The hole is about the same size as a halfling, and the rate at which the water is coming out of that hole is sufficient to raise a small like hump in the water.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming out with some pressure.
So, if a halfling's what 3-4 foot tall, a 4-foot tall human is going to weigh about, say, their hobbit
Are you
shape
trying
size.
to
I'm
are you
right.
trying to work out the aperture of the hole?
I'm trying to work out the aperture. Yeah, essentially, how many halflings of water is being shot out of it per second?
Many.
Many.
The aperture of the hole is approximately 10 inches tall and about 2 feet wide. And through this hole, there is sufficient water pressure to be able to send the water out at such a rate that the entire hole is consumed by flowing water. It's not quite the emergency outflow of a dam, but if you've ever seen an emergency outflow of a dam send water out perfectly horizontally, imagine that, but on a scale where it's coming out perfectly horizontally for about a centimeter, and then it's entering into a ballistic trajectory and hitting the ground and flowing down, so on and so forth.
Oh, okay. Well, hold on. Just a centimeter, you say? A centimeter, an inch, a foot? Because we can work out if as long as gravity works the same way, we can work out that it is accelerating downwards at 10 meters per second, well, 9.8 meters per second squared. So we can tell how fast it's traveling by the curvature of the water going down, which will then give us a rate of flow. And
The curvature of the water flowing down
Mhm.
would quite closely match the curvature of a beach ball.
Okay.
I mean, also, this is the source of the river, right?
Indeed, it is.
So we could,
It's
instead of
crossing the rain.
crossing, because we were trying to cross the river, weren't we?
Yes, you were.
Yes.
And you successfully crossed the river to get to where you were right now.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, my bad.
So the route, basically, what we've got is the route down, back to where
The
we-
route along which you came was a dry riverbed. It is now a very wet riverbed.
right.
I reckon bung it.
You reckon bung it and then head back up to the plateau and
No,
onwards
I
from there.
reckon bung it and start heading down the mountain. That gives us 3 hours to get clear of the riverbed.
Bear in mind, there is the other direction. The route, the direction in which the dragon was trying to flee also leads down the side of the mountain.
Yeah, bung
In
it
fact,
and head that way.
you absolutely could do that if you wanted to.
Fine. Let's bung it, leg it, and get up and over and across as quickly as we can. And it either dismisses or it go kaboom. Either way, it's going to be generating about 20 to 30 tons of pressure every about 10 seconds at most, if not less, if not more, like actually probably more like 5 seconds. So yeah, that's nicked.
Yeah, I'm not saying hang around after we bunged it by any means.
All right
Okay,
then.
so
If that's the plan, do you go through with it?
Yeah, let's do it.
okay, I guess we go up to where that cave is, so I can see it, and I just summon. I don't know. I'll fill it with rubber, like a single amorphous blob of rubber that just completely fills it up.
All right. As you do so, there is an immediate effect. The large amorphous blob of rubber, which I'm imagining to have roughly the same texture as a pencil eraser.
More like a mouse ball,
I don't know what a mouse ball is.
as in the ball in your mouse.
Oh God!
Oh, that mouse ball.
Yeah, I
I
thought for a
thought
second
you were.
Not
I thought he was talking about something that you'd like use to catch a mouse or something.
not the testicles of an actual mouse. No.
What is this running theme?
I don't know. But for a second there, I was about to go off about young generations not knowing what a mouse ball was.
Don't
No,
let me stop
he
you.
said he said mouse ball, and my first thought was the rodent equivalent of a mothball.
Now
Ah,
think about a mouse. A modern day thing called a mouse ball might be like a hamster ball, but now I'm talking about like the hard, firm rubber sort of
Yes,
thing.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I have encountered those. In fact, the mice that I had when I was in school used those, and they were atrocious.
I thought they were great.
Yeah, they were pretty good. But then if it was in a school, it was probably like in need of replacement.
Yes, that is why they were atrocious.
I mean, I
Anyway.
remember when I was back in school, one of the kids one time at lunch just snuck into the IT lab and stole all the balls from all the mice.
So,
We got to
with
play
that
marbles with them at the end of school.
it's funny.
with that said, the effect is immediate. You summon forth the large rubber bung inside of the rapidly flowing source of water, and you see as the flow of the water pushes the rubber bung up against the flowing aperture, which it does. The rubber then bulges ever so slightly through said aperture, and the water immediately halts.
Quick, leg it,
What do
lads.
you do?
Yeah. I think we book it. I'm just going to make a prediction. At some point, James can describe a large rock-like plinth being shot into space. Am I close?
No. That would
Damn
be
it.
funny, though.
And landing in Varpak, just in the spot where they just repaired the sinkhole.
Nah. As you make your way past the now plugged flowing water source, you make your way up along the now wet but not actively flowing riverbed. There is bear in mind still quite a heavy amount of rain falling down on your immediate vicinity. You manage to get to the point where you're able to turn off towards the terrace, and as you arrive at the terrace, you hear an almighty bang. Make a perception check for me.
A perception check. Like I work out what's just happened.
I think if my summoned thing has been obliterated, I think I know that inherently.
Bobby, you are just about capable of spotting a rubber object flying off into the far distance. You are also able to spot as a variety of bits and pieces of stonework are scattered out, scattershot style.
Ah, well, it looks like the river's flowing again.
So,
Can I strain to see where this giant rubber ball is ripping off to?
sure. Looking to try and follow its general trajectory, well, give me a moment. If you had to guess, you'd say it's probably going to land somewhere in the Lake of Varpak.
Wait, what lake?
The one that you painted over, or the one that somebody painted over.
Hey guys, I think we might have accidentally created not a volcano, but something like it.
Hmm.
So, with that said, you continue making your way along and down the mountain. And as you do so, I'm going to ask each of you to give me just a general purpose dexterity check. This isn't a save, this is a check, just to see if you're able to avoid accidentally slipping down the now somewhat wet and somewhat muddy mountainside. That is a 16 from Piper, which is most definitely sufficient.
Brittany.
Are we on foot or are we riding our steeds?
Well, I imagine that Piper and the dogs are still in the parlor.
The only reason I ask is because my bear has better dex than I do.
I mean, I was considering traveling with the group since, we've got, it's not stopping.
Right.
I've made a
So
dex
you're
check as if I'm there.
okay. Good to know. Trig, are you proficient in dexterity saving throws?
Am I proficient in dexterity saving throws?
Yes, you are.
Yes.
So, since this is a dex check, we'll just deduct 3 from that. So you have a 12 there for your dexterity, and that is that is also sufficient. You need to roll below a 10 in order to fail this.
Okay.
And Cardgal, what is your dexterity for trying to navigate down the mountain without losing your footing?
Not very good. Oh, never mind.
Lie, good sir.
He's just tiptoeing around, perfect balance.
Yep.
Just dancing like a ballerina, I guess. I don't know.
Cardgar seems to pick up on some additional athletic energy as he's making his way down the mountainside. Instead of attempting to carefully make his way down the various natural ruts and other such navigable pathways, he instead takes up the practice of seemingly bouncing down the mountain, jumping off of each rock as he goes his way down, easily outpacing the two halflings. The bear rolls.
As in rolls dice, or is rolling like a ball?
Like a ball. Seemingly intentionally. It's almost comical. It's just as the bear is rolling down, head at one end and feet at the other, making up the axle of rotation, you just hear this almost Doppler effect of the bear going, "Arr, arr, arr, arr."
Given I rolled a nat 20, can I have Gargoyle be like running backwards on the bear as he rolls? Like those people doing the log running thing.
Sure, why not? This roll me performance check.
Sure. 28.
You all see as Cardgar kicking backwards as he balances deftly on the back on the back and then side and then front and then side of a rolling bear, manages to make his way down the mountainside as the poor creature makes continuous mildly upset growling noises bouncing off of various materials and surfaces as the pair of them make their way down at a quite frankly astonishingly good pace.
Oh, yeah, you too.
What a sight to behold. Essig, on the other hand, for the sake of simplicity, I'm going to say has joined the dogs in the parlor for now. I think until otherwise stated, the parlor can be the player not found box.
Ah.
I assume none of you have a problem with that.
Nope. Nope. Sounds good.
No. Quite effective for it.
So, it doesn't take too much longer for you to find your way to the bottom of the mountain. At which point you realize that the rain has not slowed down. Taking a look around, you can see that the storm seems to go on in all directions for as far as you're able to see, which is not to the horizon because the water coming down around you is thick enough to render your ability to see no further than 1,000 feet at best. It's utterly miserable weather. The occasional lightning strike seems to fall down in your general vicinity, never getting too uncomfortably close, but always being an ever-present threat. And it's not too long before you travel eastwards and find your way back to the road that you had originally been traveling on. Now, here's a question. Are you going to continue traveling northwards? Or are you going to try and head back to Varpak, which at this point is only about a day's journey away?
I think we had to keep on heading northwards. It's just
Yeah.
my 2 cents. We've already blown a hole in Varpak, and then we've just fired a rather large ball of something at it. Even if it didn't hit it, it maybe made a fairly sizable wave. If someone puts 2 and 2 together and goes, "Oh, you lot have done this," we are probably going to spend the rest of this game trying to work out how to break out of Varpak jail.
That would be funny. And believe it or not, Varpak jail has come up in previous campaigns. So you wouldn't be the first party to look into doing that.
And that would just mean that Ez would have to conjure up some exploding gel, and we'd end up putting even bigger holes in Varpak.
I mean, yeah, that's one way of doing it. Or I could just conjure the key.
No, why
boring.
why would you do that?
Well, you're not thinking big enough. I could conjure the key, but made out of blasting jelly.
I mean, I
That
guess
wouldn't work.
it would be
It would exist.
I mean, it would open the lock if you ignited it.
It would. No.
You know what? I quite like that actually, making a perfect replica of a key, such that it would work if it was made out of any other material with any kind of firmness to it. Except it's blasting jelly, so you're just blowing the lock up and it may as well be a stick.
Just to be clear, blasting jelly has the approximate consistency of literal jelly, like the stuff that you eat.
Yeah, so,
What
so
the
if I
Americans would
summon
call
it,
jello.
if I summon it directly into the lock and then ignite it, he'll blow up the lock.
I mean, yes, technically.
Thank you.
Oh my Christ.
No, it's purely academic because we're going north anyway.
Indeed. So, you make your way northwards, traveling along the coastal road as you go, and finding that you do occasionally see other travelers along this road. The first traveler that you see is a lone individual, in a fairly decent looking felt cloak that conceals the majority of their body, and in doing so seemingly insulates them from the foul weather quite effectively. As they pass you by, they give you what is presumably a nod of the head and a hail.
no, mostly rain, but maybe hail later.
Are any of them on wagons? Are they on a wagon?
You just hear a dejected sigh from this lone adventurer, but The next one that does
I
come
mean,
across
I
your way does
would have
indeed.
called Trig cringe, but I was about to make the exact same comment.
Perfect.
The next traveler that you come across is indeed riding in a carriage and appears to be well, not a carriage, more like one of those uh, transport wagons, if you will, the
You
kind that you
mean
would expect to be using for transporting goods from location to location.
you mean a cart?
It- Cart implies two wheels. This has four.
A four-wheeled cart?
Cards can have four
Yes,
wheels.
Yeah.
that's why I said implies.
So how many of us would fit in this cart?
Oh, all of you, most likely, minus the mounts, of course.
Fantastic. We
But
should. I think we should propose to this guy that in such miserable weather, it would be much more favourable to travel with some music to lighten the mood.
well, as you are driving along, and as you're walking along the road, and this man who's driving this cart sees you go past, what exactly do you say to him?
All right, mate. Can we bum a lift?
He shouts "Whoa!" to his horses, and it comes to a close as he looks at you and says nothing at first, as he looks down the road and then back to you again and says, "Aren't you going the other way?"
Oh, he's coming. Oh, yeah. Right. In that case, which way are you headed, mate?
Varpak way.
Well, we just come there. Come from there. Yeah, we're heading the other way. What lies further down this road the way we're going?
Well, there's the Great Bridge. Uh, Besides that, just more road till you get to Donheim, really.
No
Few
inns.
inns.
Oh, an inn. Okay, lovely. How far yonder? Day's walk? Half a day?
To the next one.
Yeah.
Oh, what's your pace like? Quick, slow, somewhere in between?
I've got short legs.
Ah,
So I think
right, slow then.
quick for me, but slow for everyone else.
You'd be there by sundown, most likely.
Right. Shall we push on?
Yeah.
You know
All right,
what?
best of luck. And he cracks the whips on his horses as they whinny and begin making their way further along down the road. He gives you a friendly wave.
Wave back.
You know what? I'm gonna summon a heavy-duty umbrellas for everyone.
Can't you only summon one at a time?
Well, yes, unless they're connected, and then you break the connection afterwards.
Yeah, I suppose that's fair.
It's kind of like they're sprues on a plastic mini.
Hmm.
Spruce. Oh, a fun word, spruce.
Mm. Anyway,
So
have an umbrella.
You see as Khadgar summons forth a selection of umbrellas, which I presume are not the collapsible kind.
No, they're the heavy-duty ones, so they shouldn't
Hmm.
turn inside out.
Indeed. And you are all now sheltered from the rain. You're still soaked through, but now you're sheltered from being more soaked through, I suppose.
Let's just hope the wind doesn't pick up, otherwise I'm heading wherever the wind blows.
Around this time, as you say this, by the way, it starts hailing.
See? Told you it would be in a minute. Be later.
Yeah. Good thing I gave you a heavy-duty umbrella. That should protect your noggin.
Indeed.
As you continue making your way down the road, the hail persists for a little while, and I would like each of you to roll me a d4, please.
A lone D4.
Mm-hmm.
3.
Okay, good to know. Okay. Right. As you continue making your way down the road, give me just a moment. A
D4s.
lightning bolt comes crashing down and strikes almost near exactly where Piper is, striking her with that much lightning damage. Make a dex save to see if you can halve it.
Okay. Let's see if I'm dexterous enough to dodge the lightning.
Yes, you most definitely are. You some aspect of the air begins making your hair stand on end, and instincts take over as you dive forwards. Momentarily being off of the ground seemingly allows you to avoid taking too much of the strike, as the lightning impacts the ground immediately next to you instead of hitting you directly. The sheer amount of air being superheated by the lightning still causes a bit of a shock wave and some light burns, but you manage to get off surprisingly unscathed for somebody who was just functionally struck by lightning.
I'm going to drop the umbrella. These things are a bad idea. Did you see that?
I mean, my eyes are a bit sort of stunned by the glare, but it looked like you got yeeted by lightning. I'm kind of surprised you're still talking.
I'm kind of surprised we can hear each other.
Pardon?
So-
may I make a perception roll to see if I can find a cave? Because this doesn't look like good weather to be out in the open in.
No, that's a pretty reasonable thing to say, to be honest.
I mean, I can
Looking
shelter us for an
around.
hour if we wait for, if the lightning will pass.
Looking around, the lightning and hailstorm that's currently striking you, which is coming in a bit of an angle, by the way, with the majority of the wind coming in from the east. It's this is the mother of all fucking storms. Roll me a perception check.
21.
You see something off in quite a distance off of the road. The nature of the rain being so heavy and coming in at such a sharp angle means that you're really not able to make out anything more than just a large silhouette that looks vaguely blob shaped, and if it is as you suspect, somewhere around 200, 300 feet off the end of the road, off the edge of the road, then it's probably either a large tree, might be a particularly large boulder, maybe a house, something to that effect.
Ginger, am I looking at my bear?
No. I presume that you're sitting atop the bear.
Okay, just making sure. Well, I'll point it out and say, it looks like there might be shelter over there. I think we should take cover from this lightning.
I think Piper would agree.
And I just kind of like wave everyone over in that direction.
Yep. Making your way towards the silhouetted whatever it is. It's not long after getting off the side of the road that you realize that the ground has been rendered rather muddy. However, trudging through as you do, you are traveling at half pace now. It's about a minute or two of traveling in this particular difficult terrain that you eventually come across a well, it turns out it's actually a bit further away than what you'd expected. As opposed to a large tree, boulder, or house, it is a kind of a mix of all three. You see what is clearly a selection of large, mostly flat boulders that have been constructed into something vaguely house-like, which has a small smattering of trees surrounding it.
Well, any port in a storm, right?
That looks a pretty good house. That wouldn't blow away easily. Yeah. Let's go and see if there's anyone in.
So, it takes another few minutes for you to cross the remaining distance before you end up arriving at this location. It seems as though it's on a light bluff of sorts, being slightly elevated above the surrounding terrain, which is a bit of a godsend given how the terrain seemingly dries up slightly as you get closer. And once you do arrive, you notice that the aperture that would make up the most likely example of a front door doesn't have a door. And the only other opening being slightly to the right of this door aperture is, well, it's roughly what you would call a window, but it's not like it has any glass to prevent any wind from coming in. Looking on the inside, you get the impression that this is roughly large shed in terms of the interior floor space, like a garage, for example. But the roof is quite low, perfectly comfortable for the halflings and also for the dwarf Cardgar, but it's a good job Essig's in the parlour. By this point, by the way, the horse is quite upset. Looking around on the interior of the place, you don't see any living creatures, at least not at first glance, nothing of a decent size. Though it does appear as though that there are some objects here. Looking around, you get the impression that you may be looking at some kind of hidey hole, perhaps a shed of some kind, somewhere that maybe a nearby farmhouse stores equipment. There's a hoe, a couple of buckets, empty, of course. There's a sack of something, seemingly hanging up on the side of the wall, hanging off of a piton that must have been hammered into the side of the boulder at some point in the far-flung past. Besides that, though, it's relatively bare in here. There isn't even anything particularly appropriate to sit on.
Is it
Not
dry?
unless you want to use... It is dry, with the exception of the far right corner, but it's otherwise dry.
Right. Look at the halflings and ask them, what do you reckon? Just sit here for a bit till it calms down.
It's dry and it is out there. Yeah, we'll get a fire going. It'll be nice.
Rick, do you have heat metal?
I do not have heat metal now.
Thought someone did.
No, I was thinking of getting heat metal. But I didn't. I got fireball
well.
instead.
I mean, that is a sort of heat metal, just a bit more violent.
Heat metal aggressively very quickly.
Heat metal, one step removed.
Oh yeah, let's
Might I suggest that, given that we don't have coats at the moment, that we take shelter for the time being in this very convenient stopping point and return to it a week yonder.
We could do.
Could do.
We very could do. If you guys all agree that that's a good idea, I will give you a clue as to what's going to be happening next week.
Yep, cool.
Go on.
Right. I intend for there to be some combat at the opening of the next session.
Ooh.
Oh, fun.
Yes. And that's all the clue you're going to get, I'm afraid. So we close today's session with the party having apparently invoked the wrath of some angry god, and a great storm having rolled in and assaulted the continent of Yisrael. Besides that, you've managed to figure out that there was once a very large explosion on top of a mountain, that dragons are tasty, or at least wyverns are, and that if you use a giant rubber bung to halt the flow of a raging river, it won't work for very long, but have hilarious consequences.
I wonder what's pissed off the kind of want to know what the fate of the of the rubber bung is. I'm sure we will find out at some point, or not. I'm
We'll just
afraid
go
to.
into a tavern when we get to Dunheim. Say, heard any rumours from Varpak?
Hmm. Well, seeing as we're already on the way there, we would have to wait a day or two at least. But yeah. Right, shall I end the stream in that case?
Sure. Before you do, let me just plonk a little thing on the map to show roughly where you are. Let's see here. The road travels along like so. And you are currently roughly around here. That little orange dot that actually, let me just change that to a red dot for you. That is the approximate location of where the party is as of finding this little stone hut to shelter in.
Oh, okay.
And to give you another idea as to what you have done in in the previous sessions, you would have traveled along up the mountain, then down, around, and reunited with the road like so.
Nice.
So, well done. You've managed to find some rather interesting ancient history during today's session.
Yeah, I shot a big lump of rubber at Varpak.
Yep. So, with that said, are there any questions that you have for the session regarding stuff that's anything above board, any clarifications or anything to that effect, or is that it for the day?
No, I think we're good.
I'm good.
It's a pity Coat died early.
Yeah, I hope everything's good with him. Oh, there goes Kiki.
Well, I will end the stream and leave it at that at this point.
Righto.
There we go. And now the